Vox Radio.
Vox Radio.
Vox Radio.
Vox Radio.
You're listening to Vox Radio.
Okay, so welcome everyone, and thank you for coming. Today we're going to talk about what is love at the roundtable discussion. So we want to start off by going over some ground rules for this group discussion, and then we're going to head into introductions, and then we're going to start picking the questions out of the hat, the round table and the hat. So basically, to go over the ground rules, this is just to make sure everyone feels comfortable, everyone feels safe, respected, and heard. So number one, respect everyone. And part of respecting people is make sure not to interrupt them. Also, we're going to start raising our hands to speak. So if you raise your hand and I point at you, that means that you're next in line to speak. We also want to remind everyone to keep your comments short and sweet so that everyone has the time to speak and share their expression. And also another key factor is that we want to make sure that our arguments, if we get into disagreements or debates, we want to make sure that they're directed at ideas, opinions, and facts, and never at people. So is everyone good with that?
I'm good.
Anyone have anything to add to that? It's good?
Ready to rock and roll.
Okay. So we're going to do introductions. So say your name. What do you do in this life for fun or for work or whatever? And what is love to you? And remember, let's keep semi-short answers because after we get done with the introductions, we're going to start really getting into some discussion and conversation. So to start off, my name is Zenaura Soluta. I am a community outreach director for Emergence Earth. I'm also a performance artist. I like to hula hoop. And love to me is honesty. It's loving someone enough to be honest with them, whether it's about how you feel or how they're making you feel, and just to be open and trust them enough to be who you are completely. And also, like, that comes into, like, the ego issue, which is if we love each other, we can put our egos in front of each other openly, and accept each other and grow from that. So, Nick?
My name is Nick Bryce. I am undefined in what I do. I just do what I feel. What is love to me? It's just the direction that I move in. Intuitively, just feeling out what to get involved in, who to seek out, and is a mystery.
My name is Sara Bohan. I'm an occupant and community activist at Fireweed University. To me, love is all you need.
That was my turn now. Just real quick. My name is Ceelomon, or Christopher Closson. I do many things. I play the ukulele, and I like to play harmonica, and I help throw parties and events. I am having a full moon party with the Fireweed community tomorrow at 9 o'clock at the Red Planet Bike Shop, our Valentine's Day / full moon party, dance off.
With your pants off?
With your pants off if you want
Pants
to.
off.
It's a clothing optional event. And we do have a few DJs.
Yeah. You want me to?
Yeah, can you name them?
That would be Formless and either Amoeba or Johnny Vegas. I'm not sure.
Both work.
Okay.
What kind of techno do they play? Trance?
Wait a minute.
House?
We cannot get into
All right.
this discussion. This
But
is
that
not-
is who is
I mean, I
playing.
know about
Johnny
38
Vegas and Amoeba are the same person.
I also do a radio show. Just did one at 6 o'clock today on emergenceearth.com /Vox Radio. And I like to podcast and take part in roundtables and all sorts of wonderful, uplifting, revolutionary things here in Detroit, Michigan. Thank you.
And what is
Oh,
love
what
to
is
you?
love? Love is everything. Thank you.
I'm Brian Lee. I was here last week too. This is my second roundtable. For money, I deliver flowers, and for florist in Ferndale. And in my spare time, I try to fund other fun projects to apply myself to. And I think love. I wish this was my quote, but it's not. But it's by someone called Charles Eisenstein. And he's kind of like a social activist, writer, filmmaker, just a all-around good dude. And he says that love is the experience of connection to another being. An economist says that more for you is less for me, but the lover knows that more for you is more for me too. Second. And then the second half of the quote goes, when you love somebody, their happiness is your happiness, their pain is your pain. Your sense of self expands to include other beings. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good summation of love. Thanks.
That is so beautiful.
I'm David. I preach monotheism, so I take love from a religious perspective of universal spirit that pervades all of creation, all man. So there's a certain love when you're at peace with nature and your fellow man, no matter what the situation.
My name is Michael Marcus. I'm a creative dynamo. When it comes to the things that I do, I write, I edit, I do various types of art. My big thing is collaborating with others to make sure that projects happen. As for love is, on one level, it's the expansive force that allows us to share space with others, and even in some cases desire to share space with others. And on another level, it's a communication process. It's a deep communication process that allows us to be free and to expand to include others. And that's me.
I don't know. My view on love is completely different probably from 90% of people in this room, I'm sure. I believe love is freedom. It's not ownership of owning somebody. You should never try to control people, what they do, who they want to be with. I mean, love is eternal. Love is forever. I mean, love is like rivers ebbing and flowing. It never ends. But love can steal your soul. If you ever had your heart broken like I have, you would die for that person. It's like a Romeo and Juliet love. I'd only want to be with someone that I would like die for and lay down my life for. And if I can't find that person, and love is friendship. Love is many things. It's worth more than money. It's worth more than anything. if you want to be spiritual, I mean, Jesus was probably the most spiritual person ever, and he says love one another. And if we could just all love one another, when you have a guest in your home, open up your doors with open arms. Do you need a blanket, my friend? Do you need a cup of coffee, my friend? Are you hungry? Have you eaten yet, my friend? Sometimes you just need a drink of water.
And for those who don't know, that was Ryan Bliss.
My name is Scott Love, and I'm one of the co-founders of Emergence Earth, 3 Days of Light Gathering, 11/11/11 Gathering, and a bunch of other fun stuff. It's interesting because my perspective on love over the last few years has changed considerably, whereas I used to think love was like this commodity, a give and take thing, where it could be bartered, and it's took me a little bit of time to wrap my head around the fact that love is really this constant. It's not like love comes and goes. It's what happens is, for me, it's my ability to tap into that love. It's like this constant energy stream. I used to that permeates the universe. I like that. And then, once the more we're able to let go of our egos or get outside of our own story, and just tap into that core, and then what's really cool as far as romantic love goes is it's like it's all alchemy to me. Everything is alchemy to me. So if two or more people get together and their egos are restrained enough or dissolved enough to actually focus in on that inner source of each other, that namaste, I see the light in you, you see the light in me, and we fuse. It's not that we are creating love with each other, but we are giving each other access to that love. And if there's disharmony, we disconnect from that love in some way. I have a lot more to say, but I'm going to pass now. Cool.
My name is Bryan Thaqi. I make reality in film, and I like to go in the darkest areas of the human mind and body and scare you so bad of what you live in. And that's why I love making film. I want to make people's minds just go and really be conscious of the world that we really truly live in, no matter what we really talk about. As far as love, love is the universe flowing through us at all moments. Love is hate. Love is loving each other. Love is a car accident. Love is your wife stabbing you in the back and taking your kids. It's everything, and the key to love is patience through all of us as humans. As long as we are patient with each other through the hardest parts of our lives and the highest points of our lives, and we just meet in that middle where we can just be human for even an hour, that's love in my mind. Thanks.
That's beautiful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pass around this little hat, and everyone can, there might be enough for everyone to take one. And when you pull something out, you can read it, and then if you feel inspired to express something about what's written, then you can. It's automatically your turn to speak. But if you don't want to, then someone else can raise their hand if you feel inspired to talk, and you can pass it along.
It's like charades.
Oh, that is really cool. Man, that works.
Can the law of attraction bring true love, or is it a selfish idea of making someone love you? I'm vaguely familiar with the law of attraction. It's my belief that what you put out, you'll get back. So I believe that if you put out love, you'll get back love. And whether it's a selfish way for trying to find a romantic love, like Scott said, I think eventually you'll find the true meaning of what love is when you receive that back to you. Would anyone else like to speak on the matter of law of attraction?
Sure. Basically, the way I look at it, I don't necessarily. Okay, first of all, I don't necessarily believe in the law of attraction where you get back exactly what you put out. I believe that we get. We put energy out, and in return, we get back the energy we need to get back, whether it's what we're expecting it to be or not. That said, to the extent that we all have egos, everything that we do is going to have, whether we like it or not, some at least tangential selfishness to it, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's part of the equation that makes us take up a human body as opposed to any other type. As far as doing something with an intention of getting love, that's just great because we all need it. But don't expect the love that you get back to be exactly where you expect it to come from, or to be in the form that you're necessarily expecting it.
Ceelo.
left field. I just wanted to remark on something you said. It's like everything that you do is going to have a tinge of like selfishness, or I think that's what you said. I would like to comment on some things I have been reading, and I myself have meditated and felt like DNA was changing and splitting, and we are becoming more evolved. That's what the Mayan calendar was about, is the 13th step, which was the shift, is the universal stage, and in every one of those steps there's been like some very heavy evolution with civilizations and villages and houses and industrialized age, and now the universal age feels like we are evolving again, and I feel like we're evolving to a point of, I won't say selflessness, but a point of infinite love, to where we don't have to feel any selfishness or any selflessness either. Just we all are here with each other, acting like we're all one with each other. Unity consciousness.
I've studied karma intensely as a science. If anyone has studied calculus, those formulas could also be used as karma. But the law of attraction, if you look at like a physics, you create a void, something's going to fill it. You provide a need that someone else needs, they're going to be attracted to that. And so you could create attractiveness through methods. Although I don't think that's love. When you say the law of attraction, that's different than love. Because you could attract something in the material world through mechanical processes, but love is more a spiritual thing and might not work according to those same rules.
I think of the law of attraction. It's kind of like a mirror, where my dad used to say, if you want to know what kind of person you are, look at the friends you hang out with, and that's a good way to gauge it. If you look around and you say that your life is empty or void of romantic love or companionship or a friendship kind of love, it's a good. It's a good indicator that maybe we need to take a look at ourselves. And I think that's, the law of attraction is, it's kind of interesting to me because it's, sometimes I think about it as like ordering out of a catalog. It's like you're telling universe and spirit mentally or physically what you want. But what you're going to get is what you're radiating, what kind of person you are. You know, and if you don't feel loved, then, you know, maybe we need to start practice being loving. You know, I think that's how it goes as far as getting what you give. You know, if you run around all day long bitching at things and stubbing your toe and getting upset and being mean to people, and then you wonder why people are being mean to you back or you're not getting what you want, you know, that's yeah. You know, so it's that whole law of attraction, I believe in it wholeheartedly, but I think that it's multi-level. You know, like you see the movie The Secret, and it's like, you know, you make this vision board and all of a sudden all this stuff starts flooding to you. No, there's a lot of work involved to, you know, you're only gonna...
Okay, there's just a couple of things I wanted to speak to. First, because it's someone I wanted to clarify something for Ceelomon, is that when I talk about selfish, I talk about the self motivating the action. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's something there specifically to create something to the self, you know, to this ego's advantage. So, for example, if I'm working with some people on building a house for a homeless person, or if I'm working on design, you know, helping someone, you know, for something just to benefit them, and it's just part of, you know, at least tangentially, and by that I mean one tiny little point out of whatever the massive set of points that's creating the situation. That one point is saying, yeah, I want to be a part of that. It doesn't necessarily, selfishness doesn't necessarily mean anything more than having the self involved, as opposed to something that's a greedy, grasping sort of thing, which is sometimes talked about in terms of self.
I was just waiting, but
Sure.
I just want to restate the question. It said, can the law of attraction bring true love, or is it a selfish idea of making someone love you? And my idea, my response to this question in particular is basically, it seems like the question is saying, can I use the law of attraction to get that person? And to me, you could, but it's also, I think that you have to, if you try to use the law of attraction, I think you have to be pure about it, and you know, if you want true love, then call in true love, and the right person will come. It might not be who you think it is, but the right person will come if that's the energy you're putting out. I mean, it's I think it could just be to make it really simple. What the law of attraction is, it's if you give out love, you'll get it back. If you give out negativity, you'll get it back. And I think stating intentions, putting intentions out into the world, is even is beneficial to use upon law of attraction, to use them together. But this is a really interesting question. Does anyone have yeah?
I used to hear this example actually from rabbis. They used to always say, people say, I love ice cream, but they don't really love ice cream because they destroy it. They just use the word. They really love themselves. They love feeling good. They love the pleasure of eating ice cream, but they don't actually love the ice cream because they destroy it. And the same thing, most things in the material world people say they love, but it's really their own sense gratification that they love. So it has to be love as something superior, something higher, that above and beyond simple sense gratification that I personally enjoy feeling good, but there's some higher bond that goes above and beyond my own personal enjoyment.
on to what you just said, then the people who create ice cream, the ice cream factories that really enjoy the joy in people that they get from the love of ice cream, do they not love ice cream even though they're not destroying it? The humans destroy it for the love of the ice cream that they're pouring out as they create it from their factories?
Well, I'm not going to preach vegetarianism to you, but say no, because they treat the cows very badly.
Oh.
They don't love milk, they don't love the cows, they treat the cows very badly. But saying they love making money, they love making other people feeling good, but they don't love the ice cream, because that's destroyed. They're willing to treat cows badly in order to satisfy our senses.
Does anyone else have to say anything about this question, or do we want to move on to the next?
I think we should move on to the next.
Is it your turn, or is it?
Yep.
You?
I could all day in a discussion with somebody. It's fun. It's amazing how we all try to communicate with each other through words from what our eyes have seen since we've been kids to now. And then we are not capable of actually communicating through words because words is the lowest degree of frequency we can send to each other, you know? If we could use our minds, shoot it, it'd be way better.
I'm sorry.
No, we gotta close with it.
Yeah,
The topic.
I guess we're moving on to the next question.
Love you, brother.
Is there scientific evidence of love / benefits? Oh, sorry. Benefits. Is there scientific evidence of love, benefits of health, or benefits of health? I guess. From love. Is that the question? I'm just not quite sure how to read this.
So that was my question. I just wanted to know if anyone had any factual information about the science of love.
You get to choose.
I'm not a doctor. My dad's a doctor. I know the topic. Certainly, stress is a cause of injury. And to say, well, if you're in a loving mood, usually your body's at ease, you're more likely to be healthy. Although not necessarily love makes you healthy, but stress definitely makes you unhealthy.
That's true.
Stress is the leading killer in death, more than cancer, really. I mean, stress will kill you.
Well, stress is a cause. Stress in and of itself won't kill you, but it'll cause something that might kill you.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying if
Stress can kill you.
If you're in a mood of love, you're less likely to be stressed, and therefore you're more likely to be healthy.
Making love is good exercise.
If it's worth the right person.
That's debatable.
Michael?
Okay.
Not from me.
The problem with this question is already stated somewhere, in the last conversation and in our introductions. We all have different meanings for that word love, so I'm not sure how you would scientifically approach answering that question. Certainly, I think there's some scientific study that's been done with regard to people showing affection for an ill person, helping communicating those emotions, helping a person. But is that necessarily the same as love?
He's gonna go next.
Scientific. I think they did a study with this Asian guy, I forget his name. I know you know who I'm talking about. Where they froze. They had water in one cup, water in another cup. Said I hate you, love you. That's scientifically. Those are words, feelings, energy going towards something. And then the water molecules were frozen, and then some were the ones that said hate you were all crazy, and the ones that love you were just beautiful little structures of molecules. So I guess scientifically, the way you feel inside, because we're made out of water, affects all your cells and everything inside of you. I mean, that's good.
That's Doctor Who.
Dr. Emoto?
Yes, there you go. Thank you for that.
I was gonna say that when I'm in moments where I feel love, like when I draw a painting and someone's like, oh my gosh, that looks so cool, I feel really good about myself, and I feel like they're showing me love for the expression. And other times, like just when I go see my mom, I feel lots of love when I see my mom. And just like when I do things that there's like this really warm feeling, and it makes my body feel like really good inside and outside. And so that's like my own realization that there is a health benefit to love.
I'm just gonna bring up the same thing as Bryan about the water molecule, and then as far as the health benefits of the scientific aspect of love, you know, there's like neurons and brains and gizmos going on inside there that it's scientifically like the dopamine and the oxytocin and whatever else is going on up there is because of love. So like Ceelo said, if we can just feel that love and bring it in and turn it back around and spread it, then it'll be constant, scientific thing going on and happening.
Ebb and flow.
Yes, ebb and flow.
I just want to say something about what you said about how humans are expressing themselves through words. And I've seen Nick and I've seen Ceelo both express yourself through meditation, and probably yourself alike. So there are people that do express themselves without speaking. But I don't know, I like the way that you think. I mean, it's different. Yeah.
That made my water
please.
molecules go nice.
So I find it curious that molecules would understand the words love and hate or whatever is said on there to affect their structure of how they're just naturally put together. Like, what is that telling us?
It was
Someone can answer that.
It was that the words had the connotation and the feeling behind it. So that person was emitting the word love to these water molecules, and they were putting out that feeling of love. Whereas when it was the anger, they were putting out that anger towards those water molecules, and those water molecules felt that. So I think that's what that is that we are, whether it be words, there's a feeling behind those words, and we're just pushing it out there. So if you're thinking negative, if you're saying negative, it's what's going to be put out, and that's what other people are going to feel. So water molecules are us. We are water. So that's what I think that was.
Yeah, this is kind of the same thing, I guess, but it's like you can't say I hate you, like, seriously, and mean I love you, the opposite. Like, you can't do it. Like, of course, like, I could say, like, I hate you like that because it's like a joke, you know, and I know it's a joke, but, like, I can't say it with, like, the feeling of, like, I want to communicate this to this person, like, I love this person, I want to tell them that. You can't do that by saying I hate you instead. You can't just change the words. Like, our brains are so programmed, like, to know that hate is a bad word. You don't say that. That means all of the stuff that you associate with hate, you know? Like, you don't like this person, they annoy you, they bother you, like, you know, they've done something bad to you before. Like, you can't, like, your association with that word is so strong that even just saying it is gonna, like, some of that is gonna leak out, like your negative associations with the word.
It's gonna bring you bad energy.
Yeah, exactly. From everything that you have associated with that word.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like that. I guess that's intent.
Just to give the conflicting opinion to your point, not to get too far off, is that actually hate and love are polar opposites, and as opposed to ambivalence, it's actually you can only hate something that you also love, because if you didn't, you just have an ambivalence to it. So if you do hate it, there's some karmatic bond. If you love it, there's a karmatic bond. If there's no karmatic bond, it'd just be ambivalence.
All right. My brain's going off on a tangent related to the actual meaning of words, but I don't want to get off on a tangent. I want to treat this with respect. The thing about the experiment where they're projecting emotions at the various things of water, I find it dubious in the extreme, if only because looking at the water they supposedly projected hate towards, how could they hate that water? that's what I mean. I mean, they can certainly project what anger feels like at something. They can project. They can project some sort of what they can project energy towards it, and they can certainly play act some sort of hatred. But what has that water done to make someone actually hate it?
It could have caused them pain.
I think
Could
that
have froze them. Could
Maybe
have
their
burned
mother
them.
drowned in the water.
If water burns you, aren't you going to hate the water
So hate
for
water.
burning you?
I think that it's
Right.
actually possibly
You have
The
some, do you want me to answer
collective-
the door, Scott?
That was me.
It's not.
That was
Oh,
me.
okay, I'm sorry.
Let's ignore it.
I think that it's the collective consciousness's idea around the word hate, that it's like, you know, it already exists. Like, all of our judgments, all of our preconceived ideas about what hate is already floating in the air. And so by even like writing the word that has been written many times before, it has like a signal, it has a frequency, just like anything has a frequency, like this computer and this chair, like it's some, or it's not a chair, it's a pillow, but it has some sort of density, it has some sort of DNA or like imprint or like blueprint, basically.
Okay, I kind of get what you're saying there, and I certainly do believe that thoughts and thought structures and thought creations. I forget what they're called.
Constructs?
Thank you for the word. It was going to bother me all night otherwise. But anyway, certainly those thought constructs have a frequency and density and the rest of that, and I'll buy that. But I mean, and we're, this is being done in a lab, right, where they just poured water into petri dishes or into whatever. Still, at some point, I mean, I don't understand how a person can express an honest and true hate for something that hasn't necessarily, that isn't.
Because maybe it burned you in the past.
Oh.
Have you never been burned by water? Have you never felt pain?
No,
Has pain never been inflicted on you upon water? Couldn't you try
I'm
to
talking
eat
about by
it?
that water.
Order in the car.
I've also seen a study where if you set a glass of water before your bed at night and you pray or you meditate or you speak words of love and have that water beforehand, and in the morning you drink the water, then you will radiate positively. Whether that's something you believe in or not, or if there's scientific evidence behind that, I don't know.
Right.
And then I would also like to, if I may, reference Donnie Darko, where there's fear and there's love, and you can't categorize everything into those two categories. So
Right.
your concept of hate and your concept of love may be completely different than mine. And I've known many people, and myself included, who have used that word hate towards someone that I do love. I fucking hate you, get out of here, and blah blah blah. But they're radiating that hate in that moment when deep down they still have that love. So
Okay.
the concept of hate, and how can you hate that person? Well, it's anger,
Right.
and it's all these different words that we don't have definitions for. The language, the written language and the written word are so minuscule in the grand scheme of everything that we just don't have able to express it yet.
Here's what I'm thinking. What I'm getting is I don't know how the experiment was done, but what I'm imagining is that they're not telling the people hate the water, but they say something along the lines of, reflect a moment when you were really angry and hateful, and let's see how that energy affects the water.
Yeah, they elicit the emotion of hate.
Right.
Right.
They don't say hate the
I don't think they say
They
hate
just
this water
elicit
so
the
we can
hate.
freeze it. I think
If
it's
they
just
really
like-
wanted, they could just slap them or something to elicit the emotion.
Right, and then I'm gonna kind of sidetrack a little bit. Not get caught up on that part, but I think what that shows is how we influence things around us with the energy we exude. I've been sitting here looking up a few effects on love to the body and mind, and a couple sites have referenced that your body temperature actually changes whenever you feel love. The two extremes of when your body temperature changes is through anger is one, and then the sense of love and well-being is the other. And it's interesting because
You release endorphins.
with the picture of the body that as they're taking a picture of the body, the thermal temperature, it's the upper half of the body that gets really hot, predominantly the head, and
For anger?
and then when it was the effect of the body, it covered the entire body. So the entire body.
Same as the chakra wisdom.
So what
You get
we're
angry when you let your chakra rest in your head. That's why usually when you meditate, they say don't leave it in your head. You should lower it back down.
So and then another one said that something happens interesting when you feel the sense of love and well-being, that your blood actually thickens a little bit, and something in your body secretes this chemical that makes your blood almost like this milky substance. And when that happens, it absorbs, the minerals in your blood are absorbed into your body differently because they have this thing. And so it was saying that they didn't know exactly what that was, but it's traced to the same hormones of that when you eat chocolate. The same hormones are released when you eat chocolate. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole list of different ways that the sense of love and well-being affects your body. One of which is it releases other hormones and endorphins that ease in the healing process. Mm-hmm. So it's been said that feeling love and well-being actually eases the healing process. And to me that makes sense because when I'm angry, I feel agitated, I feel reserved, I feel walls, I feel tense. But when I feel love, I just feel relaxed and I feel in flow. So to me, flow feels a lot more healing than anger and apprehension.
Do you want me to talk?
Ready to go? I think I just want to. I know it's like. I just want to say what was I gonna say again? Give me a second.
Should we draw a new topic?
Yes.
No, I mean there's something I really had something really important to say about love, but I completely like mind blanked because I was listening to everything.
Yeah, we'll find it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. We're going a little bit. No, wait, this is self-love versus true love. Different meanings of the word love as a noun or verb. Actually, I think these were two separate topics that got drawn into them because I wrote one of them. Well, since I wrote one of them, I'm going to go with the other one. Self-love versus true love. Well, strictly speaking, it actually has to do with mine anyway. Basically, it just goes to the definition, which is, if I think of love as being willing to share a space, share space on the internal and on the spiritual level with a person or with people, or conceptual space, then it would be hard to have one without the other. But there are different ways that the concept of those things can be confused. Because there is because there is narcissistic love versus real self-love, and there's desirous possessive love versus true love. So I'm not sure where to take it before that, but I know that Scott had his hand up.
Yeah, I don't think the two are separate. I mean, I don't think it says true love or self-love versus true love. There's a couple things that give me hang-ups there. One of them is the verses. It has like one or the other, and that they're
mutually exclusive.
Right. And then there's the idea of true love. If we're having a hard time defining what exactly love is, because it is something that everyone experiences differently, and so based on their relationship to the words or the language, it's going to be different. So, and that could be a point of contention, because what's true love for me could be one thing, and then what's true love for somebody else is something completely different. So what is true love?
Mm-hmm.
And as far as, love of self, I personally, I believe the more I'm comfortable with myself, and the more I, quote unquote, love myself. And what does that mean? It means I take care of myself. I treat myself the way my best friend. I'd want my best friend to treat me, or I'd want my lover to treat me. And self-love is, different subject. But I think that love is unconditional. True love is unconditional love. It's forgiveness. Unconditional means unconditional. It doesn't mean I love you when you do this, or I don't love you when you don't do that. Unconditional love is unconditional love, period. So if I can love myself unconditionally, that makes it a lot easier for me to love others unconditionally. And that, I think, is where true love comes in. And that's why that phrase, you gotta love yourself before you can love anyone else. Well, within reason, it's an economy of scale. I think you will love others as much as you are able to love yourself. And you can do both at the same time, just to different extents and different degrees.
Mm-hmm. That was well said.
I agree with you, Scott. This was my question, which I probably didn't phrase too well, but the point I was trying to make was that I think society has created the stigma and culture that we need to find another love, that we need to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a wife or a husband, settle down, get married, have kids, blah, blah, blah. But if we create that love within ourselves, that we can love everyone. I read this really great article on this awesome website called Elephant Journal, and it was titled, "Can We Be Lovers and Not Have Sex?" And it basically created this idea that if you create that love within everyone, you're not going to be filled with this void of, I don't have a date on Valentine's Day or what have you, that everyone can
Thanks
be
for
your
the
true
reminder.
love. I'm sorry?
Thanks for the reminder.
It's actually a good holiday to be single.
So,
I read another pithy ancient wisdom. This one's about friendship. But it's like anything that's a love that's dependent on something won't last when the thing is removed. A love that's independent of anything will last. I mean, basically, if there's a material dependent on the love, it's not real love, because if you remove the material thing, you'll see the love wasn't really there. It's like, oh, I love this guy because he has a BMW. Be like, no, I actually love the BMW. I don't like him. Or any type thing. It's an attachment to something that's not really the person. True love is saying it's beyond the material. You're going to still love the person when they're provide no material benefit to you, because it wasn't based on anything material in the first place.
All right. Sarah, you touched on it just briefly there, and Scott, you definitely touched on it. When we talk about true love as being unconditional love, that's somewhat different from, again, what's meant by true romantic love, as most of society puts it. Where two people can't, desire each other to the point where that's the only, that's the thing that drives them together, which is all about attraction, but not necessarily so much about love.
Love isn't always.
Please. And if love is unconditional, that means should one of the person that you love unconditionally, stab people and do all sorts of things that you wouldn't necessarily normally see them do. How does that fit in? You know, how does that shake things? I mean, would you still want to be in the room with the person based on their actions, even if you know, words are failing me. You know, where you say you love them, and you know, and I can see loving a person like that. I may not necessarily want to be in the same room with them ever again,
Right.
but that love, you know, but that feeling for them persists. You know, at what point? I'm not sure what I wanted to say with respect to that,
Order.
but it's certainly something that's occasionally come up in conversation in other circles too.
Something, I don't know, is it my turn?
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, okay. So, this is what I was going to say. It's like really important, but just give me like a second. Huh.
Can I speak on unconditional?
Go ahead,
love,
you
please?
think, because I have to review my thoughts. I keep forgetting what I want to say.
Okay. Unconditional love is something that that word and that energy has really been coming to me for the past maybe like all of the winter. It's just been a lot of murky roads we've been going down and murky thoughts, and so unconditional love has really stood out to me as something I need to focus on and remember what that feels like. And because in 2012, that's like all that I felt that whole entire year basically, and then 2013 it was like, well, what the heck happened to that? And so the spring is coming and the snow is melting away and our thoughts are becoming clear again, and it feels really good to be here with everybody. So
Okay.
thank you.
I mean, if you want to know about love, how can you truly love if you have any hate in your heart for anybody? The Bible teaches, I'm not a Bible thumper, but love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Love thy enemy. Love people that hate you. Kill them with kindness. If they don't love you, it's not your fault. Sometimes it's just they want to hate people. That's all.
Yeah, I want to tap into what you were saying about unconditional love, even those that have caused harm. And just because I love you doesn't mean you have an open pass to take advantage of me.
Right.
Just because I love you doesn't mean I have to agree with how you live your life or don't live your life. I have, for me, forgiveness is the major aspect. Because I think back to when I was a little boy, little tiny kid, and I loved everyone freely and openly, and I trusted until that first person hurt me. And then after that first person hurt me, then the next time I went into a new relationship, it was like there's that slight sliver of, is this person going to hurt me too?
For everybody.
And then it's each through layer after layer of experience. I learned, unfortunately, right or wrong, whatever, that I have to be apprehensive when I first meet someone, and I can't love them freely because if I do, then they could hurt me, and then I'm going to be, left feeling exposed or vulnerable. And so, a big part of my process, let's put it out there, I have experienced every kind of abuse you can imagine as a young boy. And it took me, and I was angry to the point of violence for a duration of my life. And then, thank goodness, when I was about 19, I came across this book that spoke of love and forgiveness. And one of the things that really struck me is this quote that says, forgiveness is letting go of all hope for a better past. And what that spoke to me was, just let it go. There's nothing you can do to change it.
Forget about yesterday.
And then when I go into these, looking back at, I have to come face to face in my heart and mind with these different experiences that I've had in the past and say, come from a place of love and understanding, and that opens the door for forgiveness, because I can look at those people and I can say, okay, that person was sick. I have no idea what was going on in their life, what happened in their story, what made them tainted to the point where they can do that kind of stuff to somebody. And then when I start looking as them, because we have this habit of demonizing those people who have hurt us without remembering that they're just people too, living out the story that they've been programmed to believe that they are. So when I look at it like that, that kind of frees it up to where I can start, loving them and saying, hey, I really wish that person to be healed. You hear the way I said healed? That was kind of funny. Healed. So, and then by feeling that, I also feel a little bit of more forgiveness towards myself. Because for years I hated these people, and I wanted to see them hurt, and I wanted to see them punished, and I wanted to see them, I was looking forward to hearing bad things happening to them. But as time shifted, that lifted. And it took layers and layers and layers. But what's happening is that each time I heal some part of my past, I'm able to love them more freely. So it's like each time I heal one of those people that hurt me, I'm a little less apprehensive to love openly when I meet somebody now. And there's a point where it's like...
Your heart had been wounded. You couldn't love fully because your heart was wounded. First you had to heal your heart until you could truly love others.
And the more I can love them and just love them unconditionally. So, do I want to be in a room with those people? No. To this day. To this day I still don't know how I would react if I see some of these people.
You lost the desire for revenge.
I don't so much desire revenge anymore. I really
don't so
desire
much, or you don't at all.
I would like them to be healed and healthy and happy. That's what I want. Because that's what they deserve as well. They deserve to be healthy and healed.
But do you deserve revenge?
That's such a silly concept. I don't desire revenge, no. I desire them to be healthy and happy.
Crazy.
And how do you heal those that don't want to be healed? How do you love those that don't want to be loved?
Well, I'm talking about that part of me that wants them to be healed, so it's easier for me to love freer. I know that. And then we're talking about the water, how it affects the water. What if I believe that just seeing them as being healthier and happier and healed and the kind of people that don't have to act that way, right? What if just through that energetic influence they're shifted maybe a microscopic way? And if nothing else, my feeling that towards them will influence how I behave, which will resonate out into the world. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Does anyone else have anything to say about that?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask to move on to.
I think I have to read. Should I pick?
Pick that one.
Pick one.
I said good things come in little packages, so I have to pick the little one. Is love only a feeling?
Wow,
this is a very deep question. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Can
It's
you?
anonymous.
Because if I know who wrote it, I can read it better. Because I can read you too.
If you need to ask, you can't read it that well.
It's love only a feeling. I'm gonna guess who wrote this. Maybe you wrote it.
So does anyone have anything to say on the topic of is love
He's
only a
looking
feeling?
right at me.
What do you think? What do you think?
I think I
is
read
love
it.
only a feeling?
I want to hear what you think
I read
first,
it.
and then maybe
I
I
knew this was gonna be
don't know
an
what you say.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I said it in the beginning when we first spoke to love, is that I think that there are love is this energy that, like David said, permeates throughout the universe.
Spiritual,
And-
not physical. Does it arise from the body or arises from the soul?
I'm not sure, but what I do know is that it's this constant for me. It's this constant, and then my ability to tap into that depends on what tools I have available.
You don't know
to me.
whether it's just a bunch of electrical sparks in your brain or whether it's a soul power.
Okay, well, here's what I think happens. I think that when we are able to connect with this source energy at different levels, it affects us physically. It makes us either desire something or want to stay away from something. So I think the effects of love is a feeling of euphoria. Just like the effects of putting your hand over a fire is, oh, that's hot. That doesn't mean your hand is fire. It means your hand is feeling the results of that heat. And it's kind of the same thing with love. You know?
All right. Okay. Yeah. Based on the idea that it's. Was it you next or me next?
Oh, you go next.
Okay.
I'm after you.
All right. As you know, if one thinks of love as a configuration of a vibration or a configuration that exists that we can resonate in and out of, then no, it's not just a feeling. So feelings are how that emanation, how that resonation affects us in our body, and that's the part of it that's a feeling. But outside of that, it's still the resonation, it's still the vibe, it's what's out there. It's the signal that causes feelings.
Snap.
How about if we hear it from the writer? Sarah, you wrote this, right?
No,
I was trying. It's anonymous, bro. Right.
It sounds like something
I
Sarah
would
would
like
say.
to.
I did write it, but I don't
What
really have
do you
anything
think?
to
You're the
say.
writer.
I just wanted to hear what people had to say
What do you
about
think
the
about
question.
it?
What do I think about it?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it is more than just a feeling, but I can't really define that completely.
just would like to throw out a quote to Boston.
Okay, you don't have an opinion on whether it's a physical result of processes, or you believe it's a soul and it comes from non-physical spiritual processes?
No, I think,
And just
You
your
know,
brain's releasing certain chemicals and you feel a certain way, that's it? Like any other animal?
I feel like, personally that, there's a source of where that love comes from, that feeling gets generated, but, I don't know, like, are we love? Because it's like love created, like, theory, that,
Because if you're an atheist,
love
means
created the
something
universe.
different than if you believe in the soul and
Like,
the spiritual realm.
So everything is love, But love is also a feeling, so.
So
Yeah,
maybe
I don't
you're
know.
saying like love is that the source that permeates everything. It's that one energy that permeates anything, maybe.
Because the verse in the New Testament says God is love. God is that love that permeates everything. Because that could just be a spiritual principle.
I think that it's. I'm thinking about like bears, and antelopes, and snails, and moss, and they're all living beings, and thinking about do they, how does love affect them? Love is just a word. It's just it's a combination of sound. The word is just a combination of sounds that we use to describe something that isn't the language. We're using it to describe something. So what if we, it could be called chocolate, or it could be called, snigmaflazzle. It could be called anything. So what is that? What is it that we're trying to describe? What is it that we're trying to describe?
That's what the differentiate. If you're trying to describe God and you're just using the word love for God, or if you're trying to describe the feeling of pleasure and enjoyment, and it's a different whether you're a spiritual person, in you like a saint-hero dynamic. Do you want to be a saint or do you want to be a hero? If you want to be a hero, love means something different than if you want to be a saint, and that depends on your spiritual outlook.
So, I'm going to pull another question. Did you write it
Still a mystery.
Oh! This is actually, it looks like this is also two questions.
Can you choose one of them?
Yeah, Very interesting. I'm going to read both of them because I think that, it's kind of interesting. I'm just going to read one of them. Infinite love feels like what? It's an interesting question. To ask a question, I'll pull the question.
Congregational chanting.
What's that?
As infinite love, I'd say congregational chanting.
That's good, yeah.
And that could be secular or religious, just when everybody together is singing the same thing and the spirit of collective consciousness overwhelms people where you're no longer yourself, but you've entered the collective consciousness.
So we're doing this to where I ask the question and then I answer it, or I have to raise my hand to answer it? Or...
Well, you get to say what you want and then other people get to
cool.
reply afterwards.
It's interesting because it's like the word combination kind of is weird. It says infinite love feels like what? First of all, I think that love itself is infinite, and I think that there's different moments. It's like the moment my daughter was born, I felt something that I've never experienced before or after. The first time I was in the zoo with her, and the first time I heard her unprovoked tell me, "Daddy, I love you," that was amazing. The moment when my father was dying and I had a choice. I could either live in my resentments and make sure that his last 10 minutes was sure hell and suffering, or I could and just tell him what I quote-unquote really felt, or I could whisper in his ear as he's dying and tell him what I really felt. See, there's two different things there. There's what I felt egotistically, which was, man, I can't believe you bailed on me, where were you, blah, 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 we didn't call on my birthday, all that shit. But then there's another part of me that was like, this man was a wizard, and this man was a genius, and he taught me so much. In the short amount of time that I did get to spend with him, and so that my expression of love to him in that moment was just making sure that his last few moments was, feeling into how much his family loved him and I loved him and all the journeys he'd been on and all the beauty. Because my father spent the last good portion of his days, regretting that he wasn't a better father, regretting that he didn't save more money, regretting that he had hurt so many people in his life and lived as a playboy, and he had a lot of guilt because he bailed on his home country. He moved from the United States to Mexico because he just didn't want to live in the United States anymore. And it was so. The point is that the love feels like different things at different times. Love feels like an orgasm. Love feels like a cool wind. Love feels like a hug. So I think it's. And I think that's why we live so long as we do. People are like, oh, we don't live very long, but I think that's why we live so long, so that we get more opportunities to experience the different facets of the gem of love. We get to experience in many different ways. I guess you would have to ask us on our last day what love feels like.
Was it love? Could be your example of your father. You say love could be justice. Where you say your last moment with your father, you kind of wanted to admit it. You say he was wrong, you were right. Or you could say love could be peace with your fellow man. And say, who cares about all that? Like, I just want to spend the last few moments in peace.
Ultimately, I think that love, real, true love, is just the most incredible sense of bliss you can imagine. I think it feels like a vibration. I think it feels like
irregardless of justice.
Oh my God! It's got to feel so good and beautiful and wonderful and fulfilling.
He said love will transcend that justice, because there's a certain karmatic balance. Say justice hasn't been served. This person wronged me and didn't get the right punishment. But
are you okay?
Love transcends that need for justice.
Ceelomon?
Even though you might have felt justice hadn't properly been served, you haven't gotten your due deserve, but love will transcend that.
I wanted to go out on an idea. You said the vocals. I would like to propose to do 5 group alms. 5 group alms.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Is there way good?
5 of them?
You did long ones. Yeah.
I wish Jeanette was here because she usually does a really nice singing voice with that, and I can't do it, so I didn't even try.
Thank you, Seal. It was beautiful.
Okay, and this all ties in with what I was thinking when the question first came up, which is, if we were to think of love as being this many-faceted gem, and infinite, and that sensation of infinite love were to be the entirety of the gem all at once, there's only 2 possibilities. And on one level, it would be something so intense that it would just vibrate us entirely out of our bodies, or would transcend and pass right through us without us sensing it at all. Because it can be, because it can be so many things and so contradictory, and so much of that would be outside our experience.
You're saying love can transcend itself?
I'm saying that love as a concept transcends a physical feeling.
Right. I agree.
I would like to say that. Excuse me, sorry. We did a group right here in this room. I remember Bubba was here and Eric Rejuvenating Leaf was here, and we did like something really powerful and activating, and we all were hugging afterwards, and it was all in this room, and naturally from hugging everybody we started umming, and it turned into like a 2-minute and by the end of the 2 minutes it was like I felt like I was in heaven, and there were like just thousands of angels surrounding me singing to me, and it was like crazy how beautiful it sounded, and you could like just in the flow so perfectly, and that's what infinite love I think feels like to me, or I know it feels like to me.
Yes. I'll do it, but do you have something to say?
Yeah, let's see. It'd be kind of interesting to, before we wrap up, if we run around in a circle again and asked again what love means to you, just to see if it changed.
Good idea. So love to me is perfection. You know, I had a profound moment in my life when I realized that everything is perfect. All the bad, all the good, all the pretty, and all the ugly things, it's all perfect, and it's all exactly how it's supposed to be, and it's always going to be naturally organic. Even if, humans are organic, so to speak, even if what they create is not. I mean, they take from the earth and they create things, and the earth was created not by us, and we're just like, it's this continuously like process, and so it's always been perfect. That's what love is to me.
Well, yeah, I would still say that love is a mystery because I don't know what it will lead me to next or how it'll make me feel. Like you expressed, it can be experienced in so many different mediums, different experiences, and even the fact that is it more than just a feeling? Is it everything? And really figuring out what that actually means.
I would say that love is you, and love is me, and love is we, and we can all come together. And I love you, Ceela. I love you, Bryan. I love you, David. I love you, Michael. I love you, Ryan. I love you, Scott. I love you, Zenaura. I love you, Nick. And I love all you listeners out there.
Thank you. What is love? Man, so many people have said that. It's amazing the response that I got. Love is infinite. Love is laughter. Love is sadness. Just like Bryan was explaining step 4, you can focus on the infinite aspect of love and just expand yourself and expand your awareness and perception and spread that love around to everybody you see.
I thought of something kind of silly. It's like we all want to know what love is to serve what purpose, so that we can find it. But then say we did know what it was and then we found it. What would you do then? That's always something that I think about when I try to go the path of everything is as it should be. If that's the case, then why worry? Why seek to improve things or change yourself, try to change others and things like that? But that's because even if we knew what love was and we found it, there's still a step in emitting it or giving it away or sharing it or teaching about it. And so that's the final step. So it doesn't really matter what love is, because I think we're all on the same page where we want to know what it is so we can find it so that we can give it to others. And so we don't really need to know what it is, but we know by feeling and intuition, we know what we're supposed to do with it.
I'll stick with my original answer. Love is God. It's the universal spirit that permeates everything that all of us, because we have a soul, have the power to tap into.
To whatever wavelength the actual that creates a space-like situation that is which I perceive love. Basically all of to the extent that we're all talking about also different experiences. Everything that's going to be said here is true. And to the thought of then what, Bryan? There's many steps as there are different configurations. Echoing off of what Zenaura said, for example, why worry? Why do anything? Well, because we were made the perfect person to actually do that worrying and do that changing. So that too is part of that same configuration. So too, after you do X, there's always going to be a Y to do. So the thing to do is just as much as you can enjoy each of those steps. Enjoy that configuration for what it is. Right?
No, thank you. I don't know. I kind of wrote a little bit of something, but I think love is. It's not fully done, but it's the best I could do. I'm not a good reader, but I'm gonna try. Is love a feeling? Is love a broken heart? Is love an angel soaring above? Is love earth and sky unfound? Love is elusive. The earth and sky, trees, is love. Eternal like fire, the heart is love. The spirits in all of our dying need. How can you love somebody who doesn't want to be loved? How can you love the sky and stars? Love the earth and sky, dream. Love is a butterfly lost in a Love is a butterfly lost in the dream of self-consciousness. Is love a butterfly? I fly like the oceans bleed. Are you amazed? It's not very good.
It's beautiful.
No, it's very good.
Thank you.
That was kind of broken and my reading was bad, but thank you.
Thank you. Love is. No, it really is everything in this interesting way, because it's our desire for connection, it's our desire for procreation, to be connected with somebody long enough to plant a seed on the physical level, and have children to continue the species. The act of, it's everything we do. Everything we do is about attracting, attaining, and retaining love. Art, dance, celebration, food. How we react with the people around us, and how we feel in the morning. And I would just say, a question I wasn't asked, or maybe it was, but how do we attract the love that we want in our world? And I think that it really comes down to loving the world, every single aspect of it. I'll sit in a grocery store and I'll look around and I'll be like, in my mind, I'll be like, I love you, and 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 I love you. And I'm just sitting there doing it in my head, and each time I do, I do, and I really do love these people, and it's like, and I sometimes it's so cool because I'll right when I say it, someone will look at me and smile. And then there'll be a baby crying, and when I say it, the baby will stop crying for maybe about 5 seconds. And I'm wondering, is that a coincidence, or did they feel that? And so it's like this constant lifelong social experiment where I just want to feel love for everybody. And then what happens is I feel loved automatically, And so that experience is love, That experience, that joy of being alive and being in gratitude, that is love. So, that's it.
Did you have something to add?
No.
Okay. So I want to thank everyone for joining us and thank everyone for listening. We talked about some really great topics today, like the law of attraction and different scientific aspects and like benefits to love and selflessness and selfishness and relationships and forgiveness and universal life force energy and all that stuff. And so next week we're going to be talking about urban farming. Urban farming.
David's excited.
And
I'm excited.
Who's a speaker?
the reason why we record this stuff the way that we do is also to allow the people who are listening to learn how to lead group discussions in their own area. So I just want to give that shout out as well. So, you know, you can take from what we do and, you know, try to apply it in your own locality. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Emergenceearth.com.
Oh yeah, and yeah, we're wrapping this up right now because we have a full night ahead of us, because tomorrow we are launching our website and we have to pull a full nighter. So
Yeah.
yay! www.emergenceearth.com. Thank you.
Emergenceearth.com.